The Democrat policies of being soft on crime have ruined many major cities in this nation. However, now that the voters have turned against them and their radical ideas, the Democrats are trying to rebrand themselves as the party of law and order. But of course, we all know the actual truth. And this is exactly what's being called out today by Ted Cruz over in the Senate, where he's going to excoriate Cory Booker on some really stupid statements. But before we get to these clips, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on this video so we can break through the algorithms. Here we go.
This committee right now is having a hearing that is not about finding common ground and working to find solutions, but driving a false divide based upon a false pretext that somehow places that vote for one party over another are more dangerous, and that's just not true. The murder rate, this is truth data, the murder rate in states that voted for Donald Trump have actually exceeded the murder rate in the states that voted for Kamala Harris, and every year since from 2000 to 2023. Over the course of this century, the average murder rate in Trump voting states is 50% higher than in Harris voting states. Do we really want to talk about crime in that manner? This is not constructive to the work we have to do. Anybody who's had the tragedy of losing people they love don't care about our partisan fights. They care about us finding solutions.
You know, it's clear from this hearing the Democrat talking points have come out. Both Senator Padilla and Senator Booker spent a great deal of time talking about, quote, red states. There's a reason they were talking about red states, because unfortunately most red states have blue cities, and that's where the crime is. If you want to look at in 2023, the large cities with the most homicides per 100,000 people, number one was New Orleans, Louisiana. Number two was Memphis, Tennessee. Number three was St. Louis City. Number four was Baltimore City. Number five was Washington, D.C. Democrat crime policies kill people. Soros DAs who let murderers out of jail kill people. When you don't prosecute violent criminals, innocent victims die. Right here in Washington, D.C., in 2012, murders in D.C. totaled fewer than 100. By 2023, murders had nearly tripled, 274 lives taken in a single year. These are the real-world consequences of Democrat crime policies that let murderers go. It is very simple cause and effect. If you release murderers onto the street, they will kill people, and they do it all across the country. And we need to understand these are not just numbers. Here are some of the faces behind those numbers. Edward Correstein, 19, brutally assaulted during a carjacking attempt in D.C. Eric Tarpinian Jackim, 21, a young congressional intern gunned down in the capital city. Honesty Cheadle, 3 years old, just a toddler, killed by stray gunfire. Sarah Lynn Milgram, 26, and Yaron Lachinsky, 30, Israeli embassy staffers newly in love on the verge of engagement, brutally murdered. Mike Gill, 56, a husband, father of 3. Former Trump administration official shot in cold blood during a D.C. carjacking rampage. These aren't just names. These are sons and daughters, husbands and wives, parents and grandchildren. And tragically, this pattern keeps on happening. Now, Senator Booker also said we should have bipartisan agreement. I think that's a great idea. We should have bipartisan agreement. How about we all come together and say, let's stop murders? I want you to look at what happened when the National Guard went to D.C. Robbery fell by 57%. Homicide fell by 58%. Sex abuse fell by 40%. And I would point out again, Senator Booker, and it seems none of the Democrats are here now, Senator Booker said we should be bipartisan. I can think of few issues that are more natural for bipartisanship than stopping crime. It used to be the case. You know, this committee used to work together when it came to violent crime. It's only been in the last few years that elected Democrats have decided that releasing violent criminals is something to be celebrated. Earlier, Mr. Taylor made reference to Soros DAs. George Soros has spent millions of dollars electing DAs all over the country who turn around and let violent criminals go. The Democrat Party unleashed the crazy with the Abolish the Police movement. And the Abolish the Police movement wasn't just in the abstract. Cities all across the country slashed funding for police. Minneapolis slashed the funding for police. The NYPD cut its funding over $1 billion. Sadly, Austin, Texas cut the funding for its police $150 million. When you take police off the streets, people die. There's a direct cause and effect, but there are two ways to abolish the police. One is going after the police themselves, which Democrats have decided that is their party position. But the second way you abolish the police is you put in place Soros DAs who just won't charge anyone. That means the police cannot do their job because when they arrest a murderer, a Soros DA turns around and lets them go. When they arrest a carjacker, a Soros DA turns around and lets them go. And for the life of me, I do not understand why Democrats are not celebrating the reduction in crime. Go back to the reduction in crime in D.C. that we've seen with the guard on the ground. You should be cheering a 57% decrease in crime, robbery, a 58% decrease in homicide. There are people in D.C. alive because the guard is there, and not a single Democrat is saying that's good. Not a single Democrat is saying we're glad those people are alive. Instead, they're saying take them off the street and let the murderers run free.
That's exactly it. You think that the Democrats would be at least happy with the results, happy with the drop in crime, but they're not. Okay. And Cory Booker himself is out there saying, we want to find solutions. All right, fine. What are your solutions? Because what you have to do right now is basically disavow the no cash bail policies, disavow defunding police, disavow the George Soros DAs that do not prosecute anyone. All right. Because as Ted Cruz rightly points out, if you're a police officer, right, there's two ways the Democrats can get rid of you, either by taking away your money or by basically taking away your will to work. Can you imagine being a police officer? You go out and you make a good, clean arrest on a criminal. You turn them over to the DA, and guess what? They do not prosecute, right? Or they give them a slap on the wrist, because we see this happening over and over and over again. I myself know several cops, all right? They're good-hearted guys who want to go out there and protect the community. Right? And there's nothing more frustrating to them than actually seeing their hard work just be swept away by these left-leaning DAs. And what do you think the result of that is going to be after weeks or months of years? All right? They're basically going to stop trying. They're going to start dialing it in. And in the face of actual crime, what are they going to do? Nothing. They're going to throw up their hands and say, what's the point of arresting or policing anyone? Because what's the end result going to be? Nothing. All the fruits of my labor have been squashed under the feet of the Democrats and the left-leaning DAs. That's been the most effective thing that George Soros has done, right? He's going to bypass major elections of mayors and governors and senators and representatives, right? He's just going to go directly to the judges, directly to the DAs, give them a little bit of money that pushes them over the edge in these local elections. And that's how all these leftist ideologies have been able to whittle their way in even to red states. But of course, Cory Booker, what's he going to say? Oh, all these red states actually have higher crime rates than blue states. It's the cities. It's the policies of the individual mayors in these cities, right? Because every red state does, in fact, have blue cities. And it turns out to be the most populous cities in those red states. And that's why disingenuous people like Cory Booker like to throw around the term state as opposed to city, because they know these cities are run by blue-leaning people, by the Democrats, by the leftists who don't care about crime whatsoever. And now they can point their finger and say, see, Republicans, it's your states that are causing the problem, as opposed to the horrible policies of the Democrats in the cities affecting these numbers. Okay, but Ted Cruz does a great job of pointing out the actuality in the situation. And as much as the Democrats want to ignore the history of their own party when it comes to policing and the effectiveness of policing itself, they can't run away from their own words, because we have them all on video. And those videos will be on full display in the upcoming election cycle. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and say hi to your mom for me.